They thought they'd broken her. General Valeria Kaine stood tall, back straight despite the shackles binding her wrists behind her. Blood dried in rusted streaks across her neck and temple. Her once pristine officer's coat hung in tatters. The floor beneath her boots hummed with the pulse of a ship far too massive for one woman's execution. The tribunal chamber aboard the crucible of order reeked of sterility and arrogance. Empire design. Cold lights bored down from the ceiling. 12 high-ranking imperial officials lined the raised gallery. At the center stood Lord Zelver, face hidden behind a gleaming obsidian mask, eyes faintly glowing crimson beneath. He was the one who'd crushed Illis Prime, her captor, her executioner. Valeria Kaine, former commander of the human resistance. Zelver intoned, voice filtered and mechanical. You are found guilty of insurrection, unauthorized planetary command, and the destruction of Empire war assets. Sentence, death. Effective immediately. There were no cheers. The Empire didn't need ceremony. They needed obedience. And this was a message to the galaxy. Defy us and vanish. Valyria smiled. It was small, cracked lip, and full of teeth. Funny, she said. I expected a speech. Zelver tilted his head. Speeches are for victors. I already gave mine, she replied. The firing detail stepped forward for armored soldiers in matte gray exosuits. Energy rifles hummed to life, and Kaine's smile faded. Not in fear, in focus. Her right eye twitched once. A blink, then another. Then 3 blinks in rapid succession. Inside her skull, nestled beneath her hippocampus, the Revenant beacon triggered. Invisible, untraceable, activated by a coded blink pattern. A last-ditch failsafe known only to a handful of resistance commanders. The soldiers raised their weapons. Valyria didn't flinch. The sound was clean, brutal, 4-shot center mass. The impact knocked her backward. She collapsed to the metal floor like a dropped flag. Blood pooled quickly. Her heart rate flatlined. Zelver turned away. Dispose of it. 2 drones slid from the walls, scooping up her body and carrying it down a maintenance chute toward the ship's plasma waste core. The room emptied. 27 seconds later, a different chamber sparked to life. Deep within the asteroid belt of Illis Prime, a coffin-shaped pod hissed open inside an ancient mining vault long thought abandoned. Medical nanites finished their rapid knitting. Artificial lungs drew in a first, ragged breath. The clone body, grown in darkness and silence, twitched, then convulsed. And then she sat up, naked, gasping, furious. Valeria Kaine was alive. Vitals stable, came a voice calm, digital. Neural sync at 99.6%. You made it, General. Argus, she croaked. Her voice was raw, throat unaccustomed to air. Report. The AI, embedded in the pod's systems, flickered to life on a nearby screen. An abstract blue eye against a black backdrop. Revenant Protocol complete. You were terminated at 1347 Galactic Standard Time. Consciousness transfer occurred 0.6 seconds before cortical death. Your backup body is online. Full motor function expected within 5 minutes. Kaine flexed her fingers. They obeyed. She exhaled slowly, the pain sharpening her thoughts. Where's the crucible? She asked. Orbiting Velther Prime. Empire believes you're dead. No anomaly detected. You are, for all purposes, a ghost. A cold satisfaction twisted in her gut. Good. She reached for the chamber's side panel, revealing a compact suit of armor, sleek and matte black. No insignia, no rank, only function. As she suited up, Argus continued. Enemy strength remains high. The resistance has splintered. Rho Vargas is alive. Titan's refuge remains secure, but isolated. The Empire is consolidating. You are one person, General. Valyria tightened the gauntlet on her left arm. I was one person when I made them bleed on Illis Prime. Yes, but this time you're technically a dead one. She smirked. Even better. She stepped out of the pod, light gleaming off her armor. Her mind raced, not with fear, but with calculation. There would be no speeches, no declarations. Only war. Only revenge. The ship was old, and that was the point. Paint peeled off the walls. Internal systems wheezed like a dying animal. No one would expect a fugitive, especially one presumed dead, to fly a gutted Class 4 recon drone, barely functional and decades out of date. Perfect camouflage. Inside the cramped cockpit, General Valeria Kaine adjusted the control matrix with sharp, practiced movements. Her armor was now sealed beneath a worn pilot's jacket. Her hair, once clean and tight, hung damp around her jawline. She looked like a merc, a nobody, and that, too, was perfect. Above her, the ship's faded HUD flickered as Argus, the AI that had revived her, ran simulations. Intercept trajectory calculated, Argus said. Titan's refuge is in a decaying orbit behind Saturn's second moon. You'll have a 12-second launch window before automated defenses target you. Valyria grunted. 12 seconds is generous. Confidence is the first step toward recklessness, Argus replied. I'd suggest humility, but I remember how well that worked last time. She smirked. Argus had been her embedded tactical AI for 3 years of planetary warfare. He was more personality than program now. Snark included. Talk to me about the state of the resistance, she said, shifting her gaze to the static-filled display. Argus displayed a star map with dozens of red marks, burned colonies, shattered outposts, ghost signals. Broken, he said. Empire crushed organized resistance within 36 cycles after your death. Their disinformation campaign was effective. Many think you betrayed them, or fled. Valyria's jaw tensed. They really believe I ran? Some, not all. Ro Vargas has held Titan's refuge with a skeleton crew. He's the last spark. She didn't speak for a moment. Ro had been her second in command. Loyal, relentless, younger but with fire. Send an encoded ping, she said. Low-band quantum. He'll know my signal. Argus hesitated. Are you sure? If he thinks this is a trick. He won't. He'll want proof. Understood. The screen shimmered as Argus transmitted. Valyria leaned back in the cracked pilot's seat. Despite the tech humming around her, she could still feel it, death. It lingered in her bones like smoke. The memory of plasma, rounds tearing through her chest. The jolt of zero, the silence. She hadn't just died. She'd been erased. And yet, here she was. Titan's refuge appeared 2 hours later, a rotating half-ring of dark metal carved into the shadows of Saturn's moon. Cloaked, still operational. Barely. Argus patched into local comms. We're locked out. Defensive protocols active. They see us. A crackle filled the cabin. Then a voice, gravelly, sharp, familiar. Identify or be destroyed. Valyria leaned into the mic. Vargas. This is General Kaine. A long pause. No games, Ro replied. You died. Check the signal signature. Cross-check with my last 5 battle commands. Argus released the full neural handshake. Another silence. Tighter. Almost painful. This is impossible. You're looking at it, she said. I didn't stay dead. A new voice cut in. Female, uncertain. Docking bay B opening. Shields lowering for 12 seconds. Make it count, Argus said. Valyria already was. Titan's refuge smelled like dust and sweat. The air was thin, heavy with wear. Valyria stepped onto the platform and was immediately surrounded by weapons. Resistance soldiers, tattered uniforms, mismatched gear, sharp eyes. Ro Vargas stood among them, taller than she remembered, more tired but still stone-faced. He stared at her like he was seeing a ghost. Maybe he was. You really came back, he said. Valyria met his gaze. Revenant Protocol worked. His jaw worked silently for a moment. You died, Val. I watched the footage. I saw me get executed. I know. I planned it. She gestured to Argus's interface projected in the air beside her. Brain sync transfer. Deep vault under Illis Prime. Experimental tech. They didn't just kill me, Ro. They gave me an excuse to finish what we started. Ro holstered his weapon slowly. The others followed. Damn, he muttered. You really are you. Valyria smiled, grim and thin. And I'm not here to reminisce. Ro nodded. Empire's winning. Fast. Most resistance cells are gone. Those who didn't surrender were wiped out. They're calling it the age of compliance. Not if I can help it. He raised a brow. You think one dead general can tip the war? Valeria stepped past him into the command center. The old holotable flared to life under her touch. No, she said, but a dead general isn't expected to fight back. And that gives me an edge. She keyed in new coordinates. The Empire's current pride. The crucible of order, still in orbit over Velther Prime. First we rebuild the resistance, she said. Then we get the monster that killed me. Ro looked at the map, then at her, and for the first time in a long time, he grinned. Let's start with a spark. 3 weeks. That's how long it took to turn a dying resistance outpost into the spark of a coming inferno. General Valeria Kaine stood in Titan's Refuge's central command chamber, hands braced on the edge of the holotable. Dozens of star systems flickered across its surface, glowing with red. Empire control zones and tiny, fading blue embers. Resistance signals degraded and sporadic. Shadows of what once was. Behind her, Ro Vargas and half a dozen cell leaders argued quietly. Supplies were limited. Communications were still unreliable. But morale? That was new. That was rising. The dead general had returned. And that meant the war wasn't over. Argus, Valeria said without looking up. Run the ghostfire overlay again. The AI's blue symbol shimmered above the map. Initiating Operation Ghostfire Simulation. Objective: infiltration and sabotage of the crucible of order. Probability of success has increased to 31.4%. Rose stepped beside her. Better than last week. Still low. I don't need high odds, Valeria replied. I need a chance. Argus continued. New information from resistance remnants on Kalar Drift confirms that Lord Zelver is due to receive full inquisitorial rank during an orbital ceremony aboard the Crucible. Empire-wide broadcast. 3 days. Valyria's mouth curled into something that wasn't quite a smile. Perfect. Ro raised an eyebrow. You want to hit the Crucible during an empire-wide holocaust? That's not just suicide. That's public suicide. No, she said. It's proof. They showed the galaxy my death. Now I'm going to return the favor. He hesitated. We don't have the fleet. We don't need one. We ghost in, broadcast Zelver's defeat, and ghost out. Or die trying. You've done that part before. Valeria looked him dead in the eye. And I'll do it again. As many times as it takes. In the days that followed, Titan's Refuge became a crucible of its own. Valeria led drills in zero-G infiltration and close-quarters combat. She rewrote Argus's infiltration virus line by line, tailoring it for the Crucible's latest encryption. When soldiers tired, she pushed harder. When doubts rose, she reminded them with clipped, direct certainty. You want the galaxy to believe in something again? You become it. They listened. Because she bled beside them. Because they saw the fire in her eyes. Because she died and come back to make the Empire bleed. The night before launch, Valeria stood alone in the vault chamber where she'd first awakened. The now empty pod stood like a coffin cracked open. Her reflection in the dim light was unfamiliar, sharper, scarred, eyes harder than before. Argus flickered to life on the wall beside her. You should rest, he said. I don't sleep well. No one does, but it helps the body you're borrowing. She chuckled softly. You ever wonder what this makes me, Argus? Human? Ghost? Something in between. I've run simulations. None matter. You're still Kaine. Still stubborn. Still dangerous. Her expression flattened. You really think this will work? I think it has to, or you'll die again. And next time, there may be no one left to care. She nodded once. Then let's make it count. Dawn over Velther Prime was manufactured. An artificial sun casting gold light over a sky that wasn't real. The Crucible of Order floated above the clouds, a city-sized fortress in orbit, humming with ceremonial pomp and imperial arrogance. Inside its polished corridors, soldiers prepared for the holocaust. Trumpets, speeches, a slow, self-congratulatory march into tyranny. And beneath their feet, unnoticed in maintenance ducts and cargo lifts, Kaine and her team moved like shadows. Valeria wore no insignia, no markers, only matte black armor, lightweight and silent, embedded with stealth tech. Argus whispered updates through her neural feed as she planted charges, disabled cameras, and passed guards with silent precision. Broadcast chamber is 3 levels up, Argus said. Zelver arrives in 20. Good, she whispered. Still time to turn back. She grinned. You know better. They breached the broadcast hall in silence, 3 resistance operatives fanning out behind her. Before the guards could speak, stunned pulses dropped them. Zelver turned in shock as Valeria stepped onto the platform. Broadcast cameras already rolling. He hissed. No, you're dead, Valeria said, leveling her rifle at his chest. Yeah, you keep making that mistake. Zelver lunged, drawing a hidden blade. Valeria met him head-on. Sparks flew as steel clashed. She moved with fury, not finesse, strikes driven by memory, pain, and purpose. Blood ran from her lip, her ribs screamed, but she didn't stop. And then, crack, her blade sank deep. Zelver fell, gasping, red spilling across the polished floor. Valeria turned to the broadcast feed and stepped forward. This is General Valeria Kaine. You killed me. You told the galaxy the resistance was gone. You lied. Behind her, the crucible began to shake, charges detonating. Siren screamed. We're still here. And we don't stay dead. She fired into the holocron, shattering the lens. The crucible of order was falling. Explosions gutted the superstructure. Fire raged across the eastern wing. Escape pods jettisoned like white-hot comets, trailing vapor into Velther Prime's upper atmosphere. 1,000 alarms howled across the massive station as its automated defenses struggled to understand what had happened and failed to stop it. At the heart of it, Valeria Kaine ran. Her armor smoked from plasma burns. Her left pauldron was gone, torn free in a hand-to-hand melee with an Inquisitor. Blood oozed down her side, but she didn't falter. Every step she took was pain, but pain meant alive. Behind her, Ro Vargas followed, limping, dragging a wounded operative. Extraction points 2 levels down, he shouted over the noise. Argus says the path is clear, but only for 90 seconds. Then we move. Valeria snapped, blasting a security door open with a charge. They entered a narrow, vertical shaft, one of the crucible's maintenance arteries. No guards, just flickering lights and scorched steel. Argus whispered into her ear, calm as always. Explosive sequence complete. Primary communications array disabled. Secondary AI core is now compromised. Empire will need weeks to rebuild coordination. You broke their flagship, General. Valeria didn't respond. Not yet. They dropped down 2 levels via gravlift shaft, landing hard on a grated deck. The corridor before them led to Docking Bay 9, where a cloaked shuttle waited with its engines humming. Resistance tags blinked green on the external hull. Argus time, she asked. 17 seconds. Vargas hauled the last operative inside the shuttle. Valeria followed, dragging her blood-slick boot across the threshold. The doors closed just as the crucible began to collapse. 30 hours later, the resistance was roaring. News of the attack spread like wildfire, transmitted through hidden channels, encrypted pings, word of mouth. The Empire's execution monument had been infiltrated, its chief enforcer killed on live broadcast, and the woman they claimed to have killed, back from the grave. Across dozens of systems, cell leaders who had stayed silent now reconnected. Long-dormant ships powered on. Weapons caches buried under forgotten moons were unsealed. Valeria Kaine had become something more than a general. She was a symbol. She stood in Titan's refuge once more, arm in a sling, watching as the star map came alive with new signals. More blue than red now. The tide hadn't turned, but the wind was shifting. Rose stood beside her, both of them still scorched from the fight. We're getting pings from Oris Reach, Cinder 12, and the Thalver front. They thought we were gone. Now they want in. Valeria nodded. They're not joining me. They're reigniting themselves. They believe in you. They believe in a fight worth dying for. She looked at Ro. That's bigger than me. He laughed softly, still not great at accepting credit. She turned to the holodable, eyes fixed on the remnants of the Empire's red zones. I didn't come back for credit. I came back to finish what I started. Argus flickered into view above the console. Zelver's death destabilized 2 entire sectors. Empire High Command is scrambling. If you strike again, soon, you may cause a fracture. Valyria pointed to the Velthacor worlds. That's our next target. Not a ship. A story. A symbol. They need to know we're not ghosts. We're fire. Ro crossed his arms. And what happens when they kill you again? Valyria turned, meeting his gaze. Then I come back again. Silence hung in the room for a beat too long. You still have another clone? Ro asked. No, she said. But I've trained 5 others. They know the protocol now. Ro stared. She walked past him, armor hissing as it sealed over her wounds, and said without looking back, if the Empire wants to keep killing me, they better be ready to do it 1,000 times. Elsewhere, in a cold, black chamber orbiting the dead star Kieran's eye, 12 masked figures sat in silence. Each bore the crest of the Imperial High Council. In front of them, a flickering holovid looped. Valeria Kaine, bloodied, standing over Zelver's body. Her voice seared into every Empire comm line. You killed me. You told the galaxy the resistance was gone. You lied. One of the figures leaned forward. She shouldn't be alive. Another answered, and yet she is. Was Zelver sloppy? Zelver was brutal. That's not the same as smart. She cannot be allowed to grow. The chamber fell quiet. Then, from the far end of the council table, a figure spoke. Female. Cold. She's not just a problem. She's a myth now. And myths are harder to kill. Another whispered. Then we need something worse than death. Back in Titan's refuge, Valyria stared at the star map, eyes lit with flame. She wasn't here to be a martyr. She was here to win. And this time, the Empire wouldn't see her coming.